Though we have all traveled many uncertain roads, we have always recognized something wasn't right. We searched high and low, yet our paths had never intersected. Our desire to seek truth, then to speak true, has brought us all together. That thing of ours is rooted in truth, because truth is the only unshakable foundation. In the greatest book, it states in John 8:32, "For ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free."
Truth is a powerful force. It is the foundation on which all great achievements are built, and the bedrock of trust and respect in any relationship. When we are rooted in truth, we can be confident that our decisions and actions are grounded in reality rather than in speculation or wishful thinking.
The pursuit of truth is not always easy. It requires courage, perseverance, and a willingness to face uncomfortable facts. But in the end, the truth is always worth it. It allows us to make better decisions, to build stronger relationships, and to create a more just and equitable world.
From politics and world events to entertainment and pop culture, we've got you covered. We'll explore our history and the stories that matter to uncover the truth that lies at the heart of each one. With our fingers on the pulse of the news cycle, we'll provide the insights and analysis you need to stay informed and engaged. As we stay rooted in truth and let the truth guide us in all that we do, let us be willing to listen, to learn, and seek out the facts, even when they challenge our own assumption or belief.
Let us never forget that the pursuit of truth is not just an individual endeavor, but a collective one. Only by working together
With honesty and integrity,
can we build a better future for ourselves
And for generations to come.
This is That Thing of Ours. How's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us today on this Friday, 15th of November, 2024. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, and Pill.net.
and if you haven't already, please take a minute and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on YouTube or Rumble, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on pill.net, take that red pill. If you're over on X, smash that heart. And if you happen to be on Facebook, you have like 7 choices. So just pick a button.
Clickety, clickety. So we're excited. As y'all can see, we got Christian and Jenny with us. Woot, woot. Watch
Watch
out
out
for
for
the
the
frogs,
frogs,
Jenny.
Jenny.
Awesome. Yeah, we're so excited to have y'all here today. And yeah, it's been a while. We barely got a little bit to kind of catch up, but yeah, it's been a little bit of time.
Let's say hi to the fam real
Yeah, I
quick,
guess
and then
we
we'll
can say hi
get
to the
started.
fam. Yeah, then we
Got
can do
F
that.
Clan,
Yo, F. Clan, what's up, man?
got Tracy,
Hey, Tracy.
got Aaron.
What's going on, Aaron?
There's Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Mike in the house. There's Miss Jenny. See,
Jenny.
she even came by and said hi in the chat. How freaking awesome is that? Got Chachi.
Hey, Chachi. Yes, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, everyone. There's Carol.
Hey, Carol.
Let's see. I want to make sure.
Yeah, I know
there's
this-
Little Lunker.
There's Little Lunker. How you doing, Little Lunker?
Let's see. I know I saw
there's
Wendy
more.
somewhere.
We got Mike, right?
Yeah, we got Mike.
Yeah. Did you get Chachi? Yeah, we did Chachi.
Yes.
I know,
yes,
so many
yes,
people. All the
yes.
peeps.
All the peeps.
Oh,
It's been
All the
chatty today.
peeps.
Yeah, it's been chatty today. So yeah, she's having a little bit of time going through it.
Fight.
for the
Oh.
record, I'm no longer Christian. I'm Harry Balls,
Oh, okay.
2024.
Hey,
There's
Tipper.
Turber.
Hey, Turber.
There's Wendy.
Hey, Wendy.
I knew I saw Wendy's name.
I like that
Okay.
shirt. You know, and I was
Phew.
thinking about it as well. I was like, it's so easy. You could just take some, because on the signs it was blue. So you could just take some blue spray paint over the S, and then just a quick stencil or
my
something, put a
goodness.
P over the W. Man, it was perfect. I'm surprised I didn't see that.
My ride to work, there is a massive Harris Waltz sign on the side of the road, and of course it's on state land, right?
Right.
So it's nobody's. It's Kathy Hochul, this crusty governor I have here,
Yeah.
and so
Exciting to
I've
see
been
all.
so tempted, if I didn't want to go to jail for vandalism, to bring a can of red spray paint just to make it Harry Balls, just for comedy relief, you know.
That would have been perfect. That'd have been perfect. But yeah, I know. Already, yeah, Harry, what?
I never
Exactly.
buy anything off TikTok, but when I saw this shirt, I had to have it.
It's a tough one to pass up.
It
Yeah.
really is. It
And
really is.
my work found it comical, so
That's good. That's good.
Right?
It's always good when work finds it comical.
yeah.
So we have so much to talk about since we haven't talked in so long, like the election and the
I know.
crybabies that have now ensued. And when are they moving?
Yeah.
I just want to know when they're going to move. I mean, we can start a moving company, Dat Moving. We'll come pack your ass up.
They already have a moving company. It's a nonstop flight to Gitmo.
So how
One
long do you
way.
think? Yeah. How long do you think it's going to be before we start to see any of those kinds of movements to get at those who have done things that would be questionable under American law?
To Gitmo?
Yeah.
Probably not right off the rip, but we're going to see a whole lot of evidence. You got to remember, there's still a large swath of
Mhm.
America, and
They're not even close to ready.
Yeah, not even close. If you look at the election totals,
Mhm.
what did Kamala Harris get? And this is the people speaking. You got to understand, this isn't
Mhm.
the deep state speaking. This is the people speaking, that there's this much support for Kamala Harris. Unfortunately, it was in 16 states, right? That's where they
Mhm.
got their support from. And that support majority was the illegals that they poured into, the country.
Mhm.
Look at my election here in New York State. At 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the polls closed. At 9:01, they just managed to count all those overseas ballots, all those out of state ballots, all those mail-in ballots, and all of that happened within 1 minute.
Mhm.
So by 9:01 p.m., they had the election totals and called it for Kamala Harris. So we
Yeah.
know that here in New York State, things are a little bit different.
Mhm.
It's a little
Oh,
bit.
I believe that. I know that y'all are fighting an uphill battle,
Yeah.
10 ways from Tuesday over there in New York, trying to get people to see a different perspective than what they've gotten so used to over so many years. And the corruption. I know that corruption still exists all over the place. It didn't go away when they got rid of Tammany Hall. I'm sure of that. But we also have a lot of similar problems out here. It's not like Vegas is much better. Of course, all of these major blue cities slash states, we like we were showing before, that there's a large illegal population in each one of those giant city centers, but at the same time, there's a lot of the machine, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word, that it's like, what are we really seeing for votes out here in our neck of the woods? I
Well,
know I have that
they
question.
they kept electing Harry Reid, for goodness sake,
Yeah, I know.
Right.
out here. Ugh.
Yeah, he was something special.
Yeah, and they try and say that our airport name changed, but it has not. It is McCarran.
It's
It will
still
always
McCarran.
be
I don't care what they
McCarran.
say. Yeah.
I am never going to call it what they want me to call it. It is McCarran Airport.
Yeah, they were quick to change those signs, but you know what? That's all right. Signs can get changed just as quick.
Exactly. Exactly. Chachi says Eric Adams and crew have been having trouble recently. Yeah, I wanted your thoughts on the whole Eric Adams thing, Christian.
Eric Adams. I must have missed something, because what can you
They are
refresh?
they are
Eric Adams,
he's the mayor
mayor
of
of New
New York
York City.
City and
Oh,
they
Mayor
are
Adams.
Oh, yeah, Mayor
him.
That makes sense though, because I wouldn't know. Yeah, Mayor Goodman. I have no idea what her first name actually is.
Caroline.
Trump said something about him stating that this is how New York State justice system operates. If they don't like what you're saying or going with, that they will chastise you, right? And look at what they did to Donald Trump
Right.
with the 34 counts, right? felony counts,
Yeah.
yada yada yada. And I don't know if he was playing on words just yet. It's too early to tell. But if you look at what Mayor Adams was doing, he was complaining about the illegals pouring into the city and that he didn't have funding for it. And maybe he was looking up to the Biden administration for funding to help cope with the onslaught of immigrants being poured in. I think they took on more than they were supposed to, because Texas was playing that comical game. If you think about it, they were bus loading immigrants to, one, Kamala Harris's house, and two, they dumped a lot of them in Colorado, California, and New York City. So New York City had this onslaught problem. Unfortunately, how they rectified that, they started moving many of the illegals upstate. And, my district just went blue for the first time in like a while.
Really?
My district area was all beaming red. It was, Mark Molinaro was our representative, and he was just replaced with Riley, which is a Democrat. So, scarily, this is what happened up here, but they've redefined, our demographics, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, and I understand how that one works, and it sucks that they sent everybody up, upstate, so that way y'all have to deal with the problems now. Not that y'all have any better capability of dealing with that than anywhere else, but I do look forward to our new immigration. What's his name? Border czar. Yeah,
Tom Holman.
Tom Holman.
Tom Holman's going to do good, and we know.
Yeah.
Why was he a fighter in the first Trump administration?
Why wasn't he there? Was that the question? I didn't hear. My apologies.
What? Me?
Yeah. You had said.
Oh no, I was stating
the first administration.
When Tom Homan spoke during Trump's first administration,
okay,
he was a go-getter. So I think Trump knew him as an ally and an asset towards the border, right? Because that's what this guy's spoken loudly on. But why was he a fighter? And he shut them down. The whole AOC shut down. That was an epic display, and it's great for a refresher nowadays to understand how he's going to fit in his role as border czar.
Yeah. Well, I know that we're going to start to see a lot of things change here real quick. Like, I did see a quick little article a little bit earlier today talking about Trump's first priority is probably going to be the military-aged people from China more so than anybody else. In which case, I would say that probably poses a big problem. Not that any one specific country of origin is more of a problem than another, but I guess I can see that as making a lot of sense, because they had their police stations set up in various states, not just New York, but all over the country. So I would see that as a high priority personally, more so than a lot of the others. But I think just merely, once he gets inaugurated, I have a feeling between now and then, a lot of people are going to head for the doors anyway.
I think the deep state has ensnared. They've set up traps everywhere for the incoming Trump administration. They knew the inevitable was going to happen, that they have an agenda and they were going to stick to it. And, there was a plan A and they were moving forward with it. They didn't care if the majority of the population was already alarmingly talking about, no, we don't want this, we reject this. And they knew that there was thousands of people just like me out on social media, just pounding, hammering, the truth about what's happening today. Nothing could stop this. This is the storm. This was the storm. And I think oftentimes people get misunderstanding about what's happening today, that the exposure is going to happen when Donald Trump takes office on January 20th. No. The exposure already happened over the last 4 years. It's go time, right?
Mhm.
Day one, 600 federal employees are going to be fired. Day two, we're probably going to start seeing unsealed indictments, right? It's going to fly. And I wanted to bring up something tonight. This is my theory.
Okay, please.
You know how we've been watching this movie for 4 years play out, but I
Yes.
believe that Biden was a decoy, and we see it today when you know Donald Trump shows himself up in the White House and they're acting chummy and smiley and shaking hands and hanging out like they're bros, right?
Yeah.
And as comical as it sounds, I believe that Biden was a decoy, and he was set there to make the remaining of the deep state idle and feeling lax, and like they can freely move and do as they please. And, you know, all that's going to hit the fan because I believe we have it all.
I believe that as well. Was we kind of talked about it here in terms of Biden really seems to have been more of a help to the Trump cause than he's been a hindrance. You know, even something such as simple as putting Kamala as the border czar perfectly set it up so that way when she did try to run, that she, you know, was going to it's going to be known to everybody that she was incapable. And she's been put in a lot of situations that I would say otherwise she might not have been if it wasn't for Biden trying to really put her out there. I mean, it was there was a political game without a doubt. Mike says no one helped Trump more than Biden. Yeah, agreed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree with that one. Hey, Sheriff, how you doing? Thanks for joining.
Well, I think the most important point would be that the Biden administration was exposed, right? Or the Democratic Party was exposed, rather. And, you know, there's no democracy when you steal the people's voice, because demo, that's what that means. That means the people. And, you know, when you install people and say, you know, now, brown cow, you need to step aside and say, we've got this. We know what's best for the Democratic Party, and we're installing here, here, and here. And your voice is not needed because you people are too stupid. And that's basically what they were calling the American people, stupid.
Yeah.
But this is a fight
in so
for their
many
lives.
different ways.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
this is a fight for their lives.
You look at the Biden administration was it was comprised of all of Obama's administrations. And, you know, as awkward as that seems, it's like, wow, okay, maybe they're all being lined up and displayed, right? My dog's crazy.
Your dog is awesome.
Right. So I have a video.
Okay.
And I think you got, well, I have several videos, but let's listen to this, which I think is hilarious.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Can you read that?
Let's see. I got to blow this up. I need to start wearing my eyeballs. Anyways, Lance Wallnow, is that right? Yeah. Lance Wallnow says, suddenly it's cool to be a conservative.
Ready?
Yep.
Suddenly it's cool to be a conservative. It's cool to be associated with Trump. It's like mixed martial arts cool to be able to be on the Trump train.
Yeah.
And the people that are on the defense who are apologetic, bewildered, and embarrassed in trying to figure out their comeback strategy are the wokenistas and the leftist extremists. They're on the ropes.
Oh boy, subscribe right now.
Thoughts?
We've always been the cool kids.
Yeah. Come on. Who else wears a shirt that says hairy balls on it? Cool people.
Right? That's funny.
I just think it's funny that now all of a sudden everyone's saying it's cool to be conservative, except for the crazy women who are shaving their heads and gonna steal our husbands and
It's been something that's taken a long time, though. It's not something that just happened overnight. I mean, it's not like it's a whole bunch of fair weathered fans that came over, as far as I can see. But it is a lot more common to see people, I guess, talk about a conservative point of view, a conservative perspective. People feel more comfortable with that now, whereas I would say the conservatives were silenced and quiet more often than not. I mean, yeah, you'd always have the loud, boisterous one. That would be people like me. But I mean, it's kind of it for the most part. People didn't want to get into a political discussion, and now the nature of the political discussion has changed, and people are seeing that you can try to make points, and people are actually listening, whereas it didn't seem like people were listening before. So I don't know if it's necessarily cool to be a conservative now, but I would say that it's a lot more common to see people talk about conservative principles.
Values.
You know, I
Yes.
work with a ton of immigrants that came actually as fleeing from, war-torn areas. And
Mhm.
they were brought into this country legally. They're documented. They have all their paperwork and whatnot. Very nice people. I red pilled the ever living shit out of my work to the point where
Right.
they feared so bad.
Really? God.
And to hear so many across the board that voted for Donald Trump this year, it almost brings a tear to my eyes. It's like I worked hard on that one.
Yeah.
But I think with my old time saying, never underestimate a seed planted. In the beginning, I got a lot of laughs, a lot of chuckles, like tee-hees, and you could hear them whispering behind, your back. And to see over a 3-year span, that seed growing,
Yeah.
and it grew in the hearts of many. And of course, there are some that are very, very salty. Oh my God.
Mhm.
I had somebody say to me the other day, I think that communism should be a thing here in America because then we'll all be equal.
Mm.
And I replied, well, you're welcome to go to communist China for a whole year and see if you make it out.
Yeah, see how you do with that one.
See how you do with that, buddy.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Exactly. So I have another video.
You got another video? All right.
Can you read that, please?
A look at how Trump can unleash American energy.
Ready?
Yes, I am.
Edward Lawrence, thank you, sir.
So Biden's war on American energy is on its last leg, and the era of drill, baby, drill is just dawning.
The American Petroleum Institute laying out a 5-step roadmap for President Trump and Congress to secure American energy independence, which in turn will help reduce inflation, protect consumer choice, bolster America's geopolitical strength, leverage our natural resources, reform our permitting system, and advance sensible tax policy. Joining us now to break it down, American Petroleum Institute Executive Vice President Amanda Eversole. Amanda, great to see you, but get granular. Let's get into the morass. Like, name one thing that needs to happen day one, whether it's getting rid of the EPA tailpipe emissions regulations or reversing implementing the permitting process for LNG terminal. Just give me one thing.
Well, on day one, President Trump can lift the ban on LNG exports. It's a purely political and partisan activity that the Biden administration put in place, and President Trump should stop it immediately.
You know, the potential of America far exceeds anything we've seen, even when you take the first Trump administration into account. McKinsey & Company, which is not a far-right organization at all. In fact, they tend to be more green than a lot of conservatives. They came out with a report a little while ago saying that we could gain an extra 2 million barrels a day out of Gulf oil alone if we release the restrictions on offshore drilling. Do you consider that to be a reasonable suggestion? If you can get 2 million barrels extra a day just from the Gulf, how much more do you think we could pump out of the ground in total?
Well, David, I think the question is simple. The world continues to demand more and more energy. And the question is, where is it going to come from? There are nearly 11 million people in this country that work in and around the oil and gas industry, and we make it the most sustainably, the cleanest, and the most reliable in the world. So the question is, do we want it to come from the United States of America, or do we want it to come from, potentially a bad neighborhood around the world? I vote for the USA.
I got into a nasty argument with a family member who's not a Trump supporter today about who was better for the nation in terms of the economy, for jobs, prosperity when it comes to energy, Trump or Biden. And I said, U.S. energy production exceeded consumption in 2019 for the first time in 62 years. And I don't know how you argue that Joe Biden has been good for our prosperity in terms of fossil fuel production. How do you argue that?
Well, it's no secret that we had a number of strong objections to the policies of the Biden administration. But the 5-point plan that you referenced earlier is really solutions for American energy to help reduce inflation and to secure our energy future. And what's important about that is that there are 20 very specific proposals, including lifting the EV mandate, including on day one, lifting the LNG pause, that really should be bipartisan solutions. It's frankly really hard to disagree with any of those particular solutions put in place, because American oil and gas companies need long-term durable energy policy, and we're coming to the table with solutions.
It's not just about money. Money is important. Obviously, it's important to have energy independence, but it's also our lives, our day-to-day lives that are being affected. We can put up a picture of what I've been cooking on for the past 8 months. 2 hot plates, something that we did back when we were in school. That's because they cut off our natural gas in our building 8 months ago. We've been cooking on hot plates for that length of time. I mean, that's where this administration, the Biden-Harris administration, wanted to end natural gas as we know it for a lot of people. We know that's the direction they were going. Are we settled now that we are going to be off of our hot plates and we get back to our gas ovens?
Look, I think the voters spoke definitively last week. And we saw American energy was on the ballot, certainly in states like Michigan with the EV mandates, certainly in states like Pennsylvania with LNG. And the fact of the matter is, American consumers, American voters do not like heavy-handed mandates. And so what are we going to do going forward? We're going to let the markets work, and we're going to let American energy drive solution and progress for affordable, reliable, and cleaner energy. And yes, that means more American LNG.
And get rid of that new methane tax, which is a mini carbon tax, which is also a disaster. It just slipped through in the past few days. Amanda Ebersol, thank you so much. Great to see you.
Thanks so much.
So thoughts, guys?
Wow. Yeah, Christian, thoughts? Jenny, thoughts?
So I was taking notes, and I just wanted to note to people how bad the American government looks while we consume large quantities of everybody else's energy, but we contribute none and we squander it. And I've always said, my entire life that, we've got all this oil underneath our soil that we never touch. And when the world supply runs low, all eyes are going to be on America, and we ain't going to be able to stop what's coming. So why not contribute and be a player on the market? And number two, this is going to benefit us. I'd like to see lower gas prices than $1.87 from Trump's first term, let alone, you ever notice that, when the deep state holds power here in America, that they raise the prices on everything that we need, not want. Our flat screens stay the same. Right? Everything that we want stays the same. But what we need goes up. Our food, right? To live, our gas to get to work, right? All of this goes up and it increases, and they put the squeeze on us. And then they rip 50% out of our paycheck every week. So, where does it end? So it sounds like they want us all equally impoverished, right?
Yeah. So we can all be equally broke.
Yeah.
The real communism.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's already here. People are silly if they don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
There you go. Yeah. Aaron says, well, yeah, got to keep the programming on the television cheap. Got to make sure that you're getting your programming on the TV. So yeah, you bring up all those points. They managed to raise the price of absolutely everything when they get in charge.
Eggs were like what, $10 at one point for a dozen eggs.
It was stupid.
It was stupid.
It was stupid expensive. I think that we did,
anyway.
out here. But like the first thing that Biden did was shut down the Keystone Pipeline.
Yes.
And we were energy independent, like she said, for what, first time in 62 years?
62 years.
That we provided our own, like energy demands. Wow. And I know we've had that capability this whole time. Absolutely mind-boggling. And I know that the reserves that are in the Gulf are absolutely humongous, and we're denying that. They make it difficult for the oil companies to be able to do it. And I know that money's not all going to the oil companies. Otherwise, they'd be able to purchase more influence than they do. Now, I'm not saying that they're, innocent in all of this, but I'm going to say that the oil companies probably don't make as much when all those price spikes happen. I just, not seeing how that's, otherwise they'd be pushing that each and every time. But I think that a lot of things have been kind of reined in a lot since Trump was president the last time. So I think that a lot of those organizations that benefited from that won't be receiving as much as they had before. Turber says, eggs here today, $6 a dozen.
See, they're still high.
It's stupid expensive, but the dollar's broken too, and that doesn't help.
Yeah.
And then, like Christian was saying there about, they always raise the prices of the necessities, the wants. Yeah, you buy all that crap you want. It's a rigged system.
It really is. It really is. Now, you guys were talking about all the stuff they want to do to Trump. So I'm going to play 2 videos back to back, and then I'm going to get your thoughts on this. So get ready to take notes.
All right.
Think about all they've done to Donald Trump. First, it was hoaxes, witch hunts, and impeachments. Then it was FBI raids, courtrooms, and mugshots. Finally, it was bullets in a Pennsylvania field. And after all that, this man stood up with blood draining down his face, pumped his fists in the air, and told us to fight. Fight. Fight.
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before. And we will make America great again.
We know what they think of us.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
So if Donald Trump can get through all of that, we can get out to vote.
So,
okay.
I know that one's older, but
a little bit, yeah.
Go ahead and read that, and then I'm going to play it.
Treasonous Secretary of State Blinken vows to funnel as much money as possible to Ukraine before Trump takes office.
Ready?
Sure.
As we're working to make sure that Ukraine has what it needs to effectively defend itself, the United States continues to step up. We've obligated just recently and pushed out the door another $8 billion in security assistance for Ukraine. That was in September. Another almost $500 million just a few weeks ago. And President Biden is committed to making sure that every dollar we have at our disposal will be pushed out the door between now and January 20th.
So, thoughts, Christian?
Man, so let's not forget the money laundering that happened with the old Biden. So since the administration is all of Obama's previous administration, this is what they're doing. They're sending money to these fake wars that are happening, that miraculously, as soon as Donald Trump became president or elect, excuse me, the wars are already starting to talk in peace talks, right? Just
Yes, they
weird,
are.
bizarre. Like, oh, okay, let's start sweeping up our mess that we created. And by the way, we need to hide all this money and where, because Donald Trump is going to get in and he's going to want to know where all this money went.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mom and dad are coming home, time to clean up the house.
Well, there's no oversight. So say we send $100 billion to Ukraine, and we've got no oversight on what they're spending the money on. Well, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, bought 2 yachts for what, $75 million. Where'd that money come from?
Oh, don't forget the $40 million mansion in Florida.
In Miami.
Yeah.
And then the house in Monaco. Yeah.
You know, this is rinse repeat.
I think that belongs to all of us, we the people.
Of course.
I think it should come back to us. It's the reason why we're almost 35 trillion in debt. And my great grandchildren will never see that paid off. But I have a feeling there's a plan in place that, all of this debt is going to be erased because it was illegal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was done by fraudulent means. Fraud vitiates everything. So why should we have to pay that?
Yep.
But at least, it's the way it makes the most amount of sense to me. Yeah, they really have gone after him. In the beginning of the first video, he was talking about it. You had the hoaxes, you had the lawfare that was done against him, and then they actually did the assassination attempts. Just those things alone, just those things alone should say that, okay, obviously somebody is a threat to somebody else. Now, with the fact that over half of America chose to vote for President Trump, more so than he has received more votes than any Republican in history has ever received votes. So it's kind of it's like the American people have spoken, and they've said that they don't appreciate all the stuff that they're doing. As a matter of fact, everything that they've been doing has been driving people to ask the questions, and then they find out on their own that voting for President Trump is the best thing for America in general. Now, sending more and more money over to Ukraine, I have a feeling when Zelensky and Trump met, I have a feeling that deals were already cut before then. That's when the deals were made. And I'm pretty sure that, kind of getting at what you were getting at, Christian, and that is that you hold on to that money, and then we'll come back and get it afterwards. But we'll make sure that you are cleared of whatever, so long as you continue to work with the rightful government of these United States.
Look at the timeline, Santino. When did Zelensky take power?
Didn't he take power right when Trump was leaving office, somewhere around there?
It was during his administration. But it was the previous, I think, was being bullied by the United States government. If you remember, when and this kind of entwines into the Hunter Biden being part of Burisma, the board of Burisma, the quid pro quo ordeal with Joe Biden when he was vice president under the Obama administration, clearly stating quid pro quo. Where he blackmailed them and said, if you don't fire that prosecutor that's investigating Burisma, then you won't get your $1 billion, right?
Right.
So we know that Ukraine has been a massive oligarchy, corrupt oligarchy for a very, very long time, right?
Yeah.
And you also got to remember that Zelensky is a freaking actor. And, literally
a long career.
A long career. A weird actor. I've seen some weird shit.
It's an actor. What do you expect?
So I believe, that's all part of the movie, that we're that we're watching playing out,
Mhm.
and it's all going to be exposed to the American people. There's some dumbasses out there, and then there's people like me that saw right through it, right?
Mhm.
But why are people going to feel stupid in the end?
Yeah. People are, or at least they won't have, that function with inside of them. Maybe they won't feel the embarrassment. They'll probably, try to say, "Oh, I knew all along," and then, never
Yeah.
really showed. It's like, yeah, whatever. And tell your story however you want to. But, the good thing is supposedly you see the light now. And I think that's all that matters.
Yeah, for sure.
Funny. All right. So, Kay, what else we got?
You ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
Here's why Matt Gaetz is the best guy for the most important role in the White House.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe it. It was such great news. This is the most important position, and he picked the absolute best guy. That's all you need to say about these appointments. The most important position, he picked the best guy. So I think this bodes very well for the future.
Why is he, Darren? Why is this the most important? And why is he the best guy for the most important?
Great question. Well, it's the most important because the DOJ is at the center of this very dark theme that really intensified in the Biden administration, which was the weaponization of our government politically in order to go after Trump supporters. There's the national security element, but then there's the corruption of law and order itself in this country, resulting in a lot of very good people being charged with crimes, being convicted of political crimes, even being put in prison, as you know, for nothing. That has to stop, and the place that stops is at the DOJ. That is the stinkiest, the slimiest, the most disgusting part of this swamp, and it's what needs to be drained in order to restore law and order in the country. Gates is not only a lawyer, not only understands that agency, it's not only a MAGA stalwart, a Trump firebrand from the very beginning, but he himself has been at the receiving end of that very kind of persecution. So what better person to embody all the things that you need to correct an agency like that, to bring it to heal and have the nation heal as law and order is restored in the country, rather than the corruption of justice that we've seen under the Biden-Harris administration. The DOJ needs to be cleaned out, and hopefully we can have someone clean out the DHS as well.
Thoughts, Christian?
Matt Gaetz is a wow. But I don't think that nobody saw it coming. I mean, he's been a big advocate on Donald Trump and his administration all along since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a
Kinda
loud
Huey.
horn. Yeah, very, very big bullhorn in Congress. So, and he's widely shunned. But most importantly, what Bannon didn't state was that, hey, he may very well separate us from the Zionists, right? That kind of steer congressional aspects here in our country. Our politics, they're well ingrained. People like Jeffrey Epstein that were operatives for the Mossad, and they own our government, and they do that out of fear of exposure, right? Because our political realm fears that all the blackmail that they're holding on the United States government might be exposing them, and they'll be ousted. So nobody wants to go down in that shame. So this is where we're tied to not just the Zionists, but the Rothschilds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Rothschilds. I have a feeling that name, I know that they're going to continue to be a family line. I don't think that they're going to get rid of that, but I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to know who the Rothschild name is and the roles that they've been playing for such a long time. And as far as Matt Getz go, I think that he's perfect. I think that his compass is right. Like you were pointing out, Christian, he's been a bullhorn. He's been out there telling everybody he hasn't been taking any crap from any of the people on the floor. And Lord knows that they've been trying to go after him, but he's managed to stay fairly clean. Now, obviously, they're going after him and they're saying, some kind of ethics probe, blah, blah, blah. But he's going to have to go through confirmation. So we're going to hear a lot of stuff. We're going to hear a lot of made up and fictitious crap. They're going to do that because they're going to try to make it seem like all of the appointments that Trump puts up are corrupt and whatever. They still have their narrative that they have to do. And so they're going to do that. But the thing is like, okay, so he's going to be over DOJ, right? And of course we understand, kind of getting back to what you were talking about how the FBI and the Department of Justice have had these kinds of like honeypot operations going on, and people have been compromised for so long. And when I say so long, I'm going to say at least since J. Edgar Hoover was in charge of the FBI, the dress wearing dude that he was, who apparently had all sorts of weird little predilections. And that power, once it got into a place like that, it was never going to go away until there was a complete overhaul and house cleaning. And that's what we need to see. And I know that Getz is the person to do that, but that's also going to be the very reason why they're going to be going after Matt Getz so bad. Carol says they already had him under investigation. Nothing. Yeah, I know that, but they're still going to bring it up because they still have to push their narrative, would be, my understanding about it.
That's the ADL hard at work, the anti-Semitism, you got to suppress the people by beating them at the, the whim, right? And that's what the ADL does is, they use that big flashy made up term. Well, you can't say that. That's offensive. And, they make it sound like it's the end of the world, like hearts are going to stop beating. And just because you oppose something and you need to go with what we say, well, this is utter control and it's out in the open for all to see. Look at the electoral map, not just state by state, but look at it county by county. America spoke. We're fed the F up. Like we're done. We're not fucking around. And that electoral map shows that we're just done. Right. And we're not going along with the bullshit, the shaming, you're misogynist, you're racist. And, as comical as it sounds with the mainstream media, they're still going ham on the very thing that defeated them. Right. I mean, yeah, look at that. Come on.
There's our county right there.
That right there explains to the deep state that we're not fucking around anymore. Excuse my French, but this is it. This is it right here.
It's huge.
We're not going back at all.
Right.
And we're onto their ways. I find those the little blue specks. Those are cities with the most people. And I get it that cows don't vote, but you can't trump Ohio. You can't trump Illinois. You can't be the voice of the world, New York and California. Who gives an F, right? We're talking about everybody gets a say. And right here, that is everybody.
Yes. That is everybody. Like you were saying, you can expect the coastlines and these couple of blips, but the thing is like there was a lot more blue in so many other elections, county by county. And when you look at the state, they make it seem like it's something much more significant in terms of this is a widespread feeling that everybody is a Democrat, especially when they show it by state only.
Yeah. Look at New York. Look at how red it is.
Yeah.
And this is what I've been telling people. When people think that, you're from New York City, when you tell them you're from New York, I'm like, no, we're in upstate. We're in the country where the cows are.
Right. There you go.
That's our county right there. Right on the border.
All right.
Yeah, we kind of border PA. so to speak. We're
Okay.
about an hour from. So
Okay. Even Maine. I got one of the guys that I was in the Marines with. He's up here in Maine, and he knew it was going to be blue. But with that being said, he also says that everybody around him they don't subscribe to that. Everybody's very conservative out there. But that's the difference between city dwellers and people who aren't like beholden to all of the, I guess, creature comforts that are associated with cities. Having that extra little bit of self-reliance, self-sufficiency, I would say, is probably the biggest indicator as to whether or not somebody's of a conservative mindset. Because if you desire to be self-sufficient, then you're not going to want a whole bunch of free hand-me-downs, because, well, I guess in the end we understand that free is just too damn expensive.
Free isn't free. We pay
Yeah,
for it.
exactly.
That's what they don't understand.
you notice that in 2020, Donald Trump took 46% of New York State. And I know he didn't go down, but if you look at the tallies here in New York State under Kamala Harris, he only took like 36%. So he went down by like 10 points. Something's wrong, because look at his rally in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And I know you covered that.
It was huge. Yeah, but it's been so long, the refresher's a good thing. So thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, something's wrong here in New York. There was some effery going on. And,
yeah.
I'm sure we're going to get to the bottom of it soon. Arizona, same thing. Pima County and Maricopa County. We're going to get to the bottom of it. And, those that have been paying attention to me for, a 4-year span, I spent a whole year in 2021 drumming on the election fraud. And, it was all based around the forensic audits in Arizona. And we know Stephen Richer, if I pronounce his name right, of Maricopa County. He's as corrupt as they come, but he's been in the forefront laughing at Americans about what he's doing. And we know what they're doing, right? But it's time. It's time. Gitmo. Let's go.
I know I'm ready for it.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's listen.
This is the third time I'm making this video. The devil is a lie.
I've seen this.
So the Lord gave me a dream about Trump in America. So 2 days ago, I had this dream, and I've been procrastinating to post about it ever since. But I'm trying to be obedient and post, and here we go. So 2 days ago, me and my husband, we prayed over our house, did Psalms 91 like we always do. Immediately after, I went to sleep. About 10 minutes into laying down, I was in a deep sleep. In the dream, there was 3 buildings. With the first building, there was like deconstruction being done on it. Like the building was supposed to be knocked down. My dad is a deconstruction worker, so that's why I believe the Lord gave me this dream the way that he gave it to me, because I have some knowledge on deconstruction. So when knocking a story-high building down, you have to be careful with the way you knock it down, because it can actually kill a lot of people if you knock it down the wrong way. So in this dream, there was like a crack in the middle of the building, and it was tilted as if it was about to fall. Now, the second building was where the crack was. It was like the second building was molded into the first building where the crack was to support the first building. So the second building was now supporting the first building that was tilted and cracked in the middle. And then I saw bandages where the crack was on the first building. Now, on the third building, Trump was standing on top of it. So it was 3 buildings, and the third building was in front of these buildings, and Trump was standing at the top of the building. Trump was facing away from the building and he was looking at me, and his right hand was up as if he was in the court, like this. So if you guys don't know, when you put your right hand up in a court, that's swearing. It's doing to solemnly swear. I'm not saying that swearing is good or is okay, but that's just how the government is. That's America, any court system. So while I was looking at Trump in the dream, I instantly felt the Holy Spirit. I knew this was from God. So much so I heard tell somebody. Immediately after hearing tell somebody, I woke up out of my sleep instantly. Like my eyes were open. So now I'm awake and I'm looking around my dark room and I cannot move. I am now in sleep paralysis. I've been in sleep paralysis before, and every time I'm in sleep paralysis, I call the name of Jesus and I'm instantly released. And if you don't know, sleep paralysis is demonic. And so basically, I was in sleep paralysis and I was, for some reason, instead of calling the name of Jesus, I just remember hearing tell somebody. I remember hearing the Lord say, tell somebody. And so instead of calling him, I was calling my husband. Because at this point, I'm like, I got to tell somebody. So first, when I wake up, I cannot move. I try to move my hands. I try to move my legs. I'm like, I'm going to get my phone and tell my husband. I'm like, because I can't talk. And then finally, I'm able to talk and I'm calling my husband, but he's like in the front of the house doing something and he can barely hear me. So I'm calling him and I'm really not getting a response like that. So I go back into a deep sleep. Y'all, in the deep sleep, I'm telling my mama about the dream. Like, I guess because I was trying to tell my husband so bad, like I started telling people in my dream about it and I woke up again. So when I woke up, I was in sleep paralysis again. So I'm like, I got to get up and I got to tell my husband about what the Lord just showed me. I got to tell everybody. I'm wiggling my fingers. I'm trying to move my legs. And some way, somehow, I ended up getting up. I went to the front of the house. Like, it was like, I felt like a zombie. Like, I felt so heavy getting up and walking all the way to the front of the house. Like, I can't even describe how I felt. So I get to the front of the house to tell my husband about the dream. And as I'm talking to him about it and telling him about it, the Lord begins to interpret to me. So the Lord said that the first building represents America. The crack in the middle is all the damage that America has endured, the damage that we have right now, even the damage we don't even know about. Little do we know, we were about to fall and sink as a whole. And the Lord is using Trump to build America up. The second building molded into the crack in the middle of the first building was the support. Now, the building looked terrible. The building looked bad, but it stayed up. It stayed up, and although it looked so bad, it still was being supported by the second building. And Trump being on the third building with his hand up is him promising to do all that he can for America through God. Now, I know everyone is on the hate train with Trump, but I truly, from the bottom of my heart, believe that God is really about to use Trump in miraculous ways. I truly believe that Trump has a heart for God. He may have not had it years prior. I don't know. But I truly, in my spirit, feel that Trump has a heart for God. And for all the people out here judging this man because of his past, shame on you. We as people, as human beings, hate to be judged, but we love to judge others. And I just feel like if you're hating on this man because of his past, you need to go back to the Bible and you need to look at all of the prophets that followed Jesus and look at their lifestyles prior to God, prior to walking with Jesus. We are all human beings and we all fall short, but nobody can ever tell me that somebody's life can be turned around and change for God. This man is the only president I've seen that's proclaim the name of Jesus so radically. I couldn't ask for a better president than someone proclaiming the name of Jesus that radically. This man even did the Lord's Prayer after being elected with a crowd of people. I believe that that building was showing a representation of America and all of the damage that's been done to America. But then the Lord showing Trump in front of it, and the support of another building is showing that he is going to pick up the scraps that was left behind by prior parties, all of the crap that we don't even know about, because there's a lot that we don't even know is happening behind the scenes, that this man will actually put work into fixing with the name of Jesus. I believe we should be praying for Trump and praying for America because we live in America, because there's so much evil and wickedness in America. We need Jesus. We need God. We need a praying president. And we also need to wake up and stop judging people because of their past. It took me 3 times to post this, and hopefully it goes through. That's all I have to say. And if you got this far, thank you for listening.
So, thoughts, Christian?
Yeah, so funny. I watched that video this morning before I went to bed. I want to say, it was a beautiful video, and I love that the African American community are starting to tilt more towards God. Such a beautiful thing. But I think this is a calling where God is asking for more and more voices, and more we're seeing on social media the African American community coming out and speaking boldly about God, where we couldn't speak about this 8 years ago. It was very taboo for anybody to speak about it. And at my work, even I talk about God with the Muslims. We share stories back and forth, right? Biblical stories. And they believe in a lot of things that us Christians believe in too. So it's kind of nice to relate to these people in a light that we can all get along. We're all God's children. And as far as Donald Trump being ordained by God, yeah, I wholeheartedly believe this with every fiber of my being. And I was kind of a skeptic. I was listening in the beginning, and that seed grew. Here we are, 8 years later, and I'm like, man, beyond reasonable doubt, this guy is ordained, and he was definitely chosen. And I think back when he screamed on the media, he's like, I am the chosen one. It sounded kind of lunatic, ish back then, right? But today we're starting to see that maybe he's not so crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people understood that he wasn't crazy. I think a lot of people wrote stuff off like that as just him being an entertainer because he's been in television, with what was it? Not the Prophet, The Apprentice. And then he's always had, little cameos and things. He's been really good about being able to get in the media. And so I think a lot of people wrote that stuff off as him just being a showman. But at the same time, I think it's a lot more than being a showman. I agree with you 100%. I think he's been anointed to what level, I have no idea. But I do believe that there is an anointing there. That's why that bullet went so close that his head had turned in that split second, that, his head had turned when that bullet was in the air. It's not like he knew about it. It's not like he dodged that like Neo from the Matrix or anything. It was just one of those things where coincidental, I guess you could say, or I would say that is a divine providence that was given to all of us, because I certainly believe that Trump is something that is something that is bringing America back to God. Like you were saying, it's taboo thing to say, or at least it was, but it's getting more common now. It is nice to see more and more people turn back to God, and across all racial divisions or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to say that I'm just glad that people are coming back to God. And I know a lot of people have they take a lot of issue with Islam, but at the same time they're an Abrahamic faith, and like you're saying, they believe a lot of the same things that we believe, but they have a different way of going about it. But I think that story's even written in the Old Testament. So again, we're all brothers and sisters, and we're supposed to love each other regardless. And that's what I'm starting to see America do, is to unite together regardless of that religion. Like, people are actually overlooking that now, as well as, so race and religion seem to be non-issues for people any longer. Sexual orientation is something that a lot of people are still working on, but I have a feeling we're going to be getting there too, because people are going to recognize what really matters is our each and every one of our individual relationship with God. That's what we're going to. And that's what's going to truly make America great again. As great as President Trump is, it's not all him. He is a vessel just like each and every one of us. It's just that he, was chosen, probably because he has all of the capabilities that I wish so many of us wish we had.
Another Kim Clement prophecy is come true. And, we shall have a president with hot blood, and then he shall become a praying president, which we saw, and he shall serve two terms, right? And now that's the boom, right? The mic drop, where we're starting to see that this guy back in 2008 knew everything that was going to happen, and he foresaw this. So come on, how telling.
Yeah,
exactly. It's not like it was any different like when God was talking to Ezekiel and stuff like that. God uses people. And I believe he used Kim Clement to let us know that everything was going to be okay. And do I believe that Trump from 2016 is the same Trump as now, as far as attitude and being a godly person? No, I don't. I think he has grown tremendously in his faith since 2016.
Oh, 100%. Agreed.
So,
yeah. I do believe that his faith has grown. I believe that, like Kim Clement had said, I believe that he believed in God, but I don't believe that he was the praying man that he is now.
correct.
And I believe that he will continue to pray. I don't see bad stuff in the future. And I know a lot of people are trying to paint him as the possible Antichrist.
Oh my gosh.
Look,
him and Elon Musk.
Yeah, him and yeah. And I don't believe that that's the case. Although I'm open to keep, my mind is still open to the concept, because I don't want to be blindsided by that any more than I would have been already. But again, he's a human being, so you can't put your faith in you can't put your faith in human beings like that.
Right.
You have to trust that we're easily corruptible. That's who we are.
Exactly. So, and we've been talking a lot about this during this week about the revival that's coming. And not only was Oklahoma the only state that went completely red.
Yeah.
But can you go ahead and read that, please?
Let's see. Oh, yeah, I heard about this. Bibles purchased for AP government classes in Oklahoma.
Let's listen.
I'm excited to announce today that Oklahoma is the first state to bring the Bible back to the classroom. Today, we purchased over 500 Bibles that will be in the AP government classrooms across the state. Bible just like this. We have the Bible, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. These are foundational documents.
I want one.
History. Our kids have to understand the role the Bible played in influencing American history. It's very clear that the radical left has driven the Bible out of the classroom, which leads to a lack of understanding of American history. We will not stop until we've brought the Bible back to every classroom in the state.
So, thoughts, Christian?
Aside from what he said, if you notice in the background, the gold fringe is still on the flags.
Yeah.
Maritime law for those that don't understand. But to go with, you know, these Bible states are going to start bringing it back, but you do notice that, you know, the deep state's still fighting, and they're fighting in the courts over this. I believe it's been heard in a federal court already. But they're still kicking and screaming. The devil, you know, he's not going to let this go easily. And, you know, he's already lost. Come on, the fall of Babylon, it's already happened.
I'm seeing people on Facebook throwing a fit about this because they think that we're putting God and religion and everything.
Can't have these kids indoctrinated.
And
yeah,
I don't think that they understand there's a difference between being part of a religion and having a relationship with God. So having the Bible and reading the Bible is totally different than going to church and being part of a religion. And I try to explain that to people, because when they find out, oh, you do Bible study, which church do you go to? I don't go to church. I read the Bible. I do my Bible study. I'm learning the word. It's about a relationship with God.
Right.
I did meet this minister. I cut his hair, and he was discussing things before the election. And he gave me his card. I didn't know he was a minister, but I really enjoyed my conversation with him about everything. And I asked him, I said, well, what church do you go to? And he goes, oh, my church is not a part of any religion. It's about a relationship with God. And he gave me his card. So I'm going to go check it out, because that's something I would be interested in, instead of being part of a religion where that's man-made and there's all these rules and whatnot. You're not taking 10% of my paycheck and all this other stuff. I want to learn the word and understand it, because that's what it's about.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. And that that is our, you know, kind of responsibility, is to make sure that we're the ones that are building that relationship. The revival that we're headed for is something that I see truly exciting. And is there going to be pushback? 100% there's going to be pushback, because they fought so hard to get the Bible removed from absolutely everything. They have twisted what Thomas Jefferson had said in terms of his private letter about the separation of church and state. But what he was really talking about was the federal government, because at that point in time, each state has the authority to set its official religion. And states had said that. They also said that, like, even Pennsylvania you had to have a profession of faith, and I believe in Christianity in general, before you could, as part of your oath of office to whatever office you took for the state of Pennsylvania back in the late 18th century. So it's like God has not always been separated. And so there's going to be an education. And I know that Oklahoma is the perfect place for this. As red as it is, I think that that's the perfect place for this concept to sprout out of and move into the other states. Because Oklahoma is going to take this fight on. That's who Oklahoma is. And I love them for it. But as these kids, because he said it was what, 500 books, I think that,
Yes,
yeah.
500.
So 500 books. So it's not that many students who are going to have this as part of their curriculum. But those kids are going to learn a lot more about how this country was actually founded than so many kids, probably up to a time long before I went to school, because it was separated, and I went to a Catholic school, and it was separated. You know, your religion class was separate from your American government class, even though God and the Bible has always been a part of. As a matter of fact, a lot of the principles that are in the Constitution are biblically based. That's why they're in there, because it comes from a higher power or source. Hey, Brother Bill, thanks for joining, man.
Well, isn't the
yeah, go
Bible
ahead.
kind of like, you know, it's history too, if you look at it that way, right?
I agree. And a lot of people, but the thing is the narrative is always put out there that the Bible is not a historical, it's not a historical record, but there's so much evidence out there proving that it is. Who is that? The YouTube guy that we like, Kay?
Joel, are you? Which one are you talking?
Expedition Bible?
Yes, Expedition
The
Bible.
one that went and found the Noah's Ark? That one that you played?
No,
this is a different guy.
He is a legitimate archaeologist, and he goes through.
You got shared on the TG chat.
Yeah, I will have to share that. As a matter of fact, yeah.
You will
I like
love
that
it,
stuff.
Jenny. Oh, Jenny, you will.
Yeah, you'll love it
It's
because
amazing.
and it's really cool because you get to see the physical location, and so now you have an image inside of your head in terms of what the book is talking about. And he does really good in terms of placing it on the map, how it plays out in the whole story. He's a legitimate archaeologist. He's a teacher. He usually does biblical tours. I think that's his other channel, is biblical tours or whatever. But
So he's not like Indiana Jones?
I mean, he
Sorta.
kind of is. I mean, he kind of is. He had a drone shot down by the Israelis. Does that count?
Oh no!
Yeah, they zapped it. They zapped one of his drones. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to pull that one out.
Pretty interesting.
As a matter of fact, yeah.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
How about some berry? Will you read that, please?
I was trying to pull up this thing.
Well, you have to read this.
Okay. Don Jr. isn't buying Obama's sudden facade of graciousness. He's not.
Ready?
Yes.
Obama puts out the following statement. In a country as big and diverse as ours, we won't always see eye to eye on everything, but progress requires us to extend good faith and grace, even to people with whom we deeply disagree. I mean, he sounds really sweet and like he's really rooting for your dad and for the country come together.
He's not.
The nonsense, Don, of all three of these people who either tried to put your father in prison or were in support of it, to now be like, I'm the elder statesman and I will help us unite. What do you make of it?
I think Obama's always been an incredibly divisive character. I think he is the architect of a lot of the lawfare that we've had to deal with, the weaponization of government against its people and certainly against their political rivals. Even the other day, just less than a week ago, he's out there repeating the Charlottesville hoax as though it's real. Like, that was the true Obama. He's a divisive figure. He will lie to your face and then he'll play the innocent card.
So, thoughts, Christian?
If I were the devil, there was a poem. If I were the devil, very, very, very good poem. But you know, when it comes to mind about deception on the people of the world, people like Obama stand in the forefront, right? And he is divisive. He did nothing for the African American communities, the hardest hit communities, the ones that are decimated by the CIA drug cartels, right? That have torn our beautiful cities to shambles. Once beautiful, thriving neighborhoods are now ghetto, slums, and, you know, no future. And they did this through what? Decimating the nuclear family, right? Dad's no longer part of the picture. Our rap industry glorified, you know, the whole baby mama thing and, you know, moving on to the next, and right. It destroyed communities. And I believe, you know, Donald Trump is right about the nuclear family and how it makes America strong. And we've got a weak America as long as we keep falling for their tactics and as long as we keep allowing these deep state actors to be bullhorns in our faces, you know, perpetuating these endless psyops on the American people. But, you know, to white shame us for not wanting to go along with the devil. Wow, that's deception at its finest right there.
Yeah.
But Obama did nothing for the American people at all, except for divide and conquer. And this is the fall of the Roman Empire all over again. This is how they did it. Division.
Yeah. 100%. That's exactly how they did it.
That's exactly it, Chelsea.
Yep.
That's the one he's
by
talking
Paul Harvey.
about.
Exactly. If I Were the Devil by Paul Harvey. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Thank you.
That's a great one too.
Very
And,
good.
yeah,
I used it in a few viral videos way back.
Yeah.
And, I kind of spun off in my own tangent if I were the devil. And, I showed video clips of what I would think is the devil. And, it became a big hit with people. So great poem.
Certainly. It is a
It
great
really
poem.
is a great poem.
As far as the nuclear family is concerned, America's like one of the only places where nuclear families aren't like a norm. And not just nuclear families, but extended families. There will be 3, 4 generations living in one house, in so many other places under one roof. Let me put, it might may be a giant roof that people have been passing on from generation to generation to generation. But I think that that's something that we need to get back here in this nation, most assuredly. That is, I would say, the greatest problem that our nation has is the fact that our family units are so broken. Both kids or kids need both parents, plain and simple. I firmly believe that. I think that that's one of the most important things. As dysfunctional as it may be, a relationship, I also believe that seeing both of them there is extremely important, because they're not getting just one side. They're getting, both sides. They're also getting that, more feminine way of dealing with things. They're also getting that more masculine way of dealing with things. It all creates balance in the end. And it may not be a perfect household, but I'd say that a lot more households would be a lot more happy if people had a fair shake in terms of being able to make their way through life. Again, once upon a time when our money was actually worth something, you could have a minimum wage job making $1.25 an hour, and be able to have a single income household where the bills were paid and everybody was fed. And it wasn't like great living or anything, but at the very least, nobody was starving to death so long as they got up off their ass and got a job. Now you can have a job and you can have a couple of jobs, your spouse can have a couple of jobs, and you can still be struggling to make ends meet. I know all sorts of people who make decent money that they are feeling the fact that the dollar is being stretched so much more than it has been for so long because of food. We were talking about gas earlier. The price of gas affects more than just the price of gas. It affects the price of everything that gets moved around this nation via truck, plane, train, whatever, because it all use some kind of a fossil fuel. And as those prices go up, they're not going to eat the costs. They're going to pass that on to every single one of us. So again, it all boils down to BlackRock, Vanguard, et cetera, squeezing every penny, making sure that the employees ain't making the money, and making sure that the customers aren't getting real value for what they're putting into the products that they're purchasing. It's all going to the pockets of a very small group of people, and they've been able to get away with that. So when we go back to the other video where we're talking about how it was hoaxes against Trump, it was lawfare against Trump, it was assassination against attempts against Trump, all of those things point to the fact that these people are losing all of that they've had such an easy gravy train for oh so long. And now that he got elected, they may still continue to try to screw shit up, but they're not going to be able to do it. But we just have to watch them, act like petulant children in the meantime.
Yes. I think, honestly, I came from a broken home, and I refuse to give in, to the status quo that, if Jenny and I had major disagreements, that we can't work through them like adults. And that's what it's all about, is working through your indifferences. It takes 2 to fight and 1 to turn the cheek, right? And as long as you both understand that, one's got to lead the show, one's got to lead the other, right? And when you got 2 egos standing in the middle as a roadblock, you're never going to get anywhere. Jenny and I have come so far. We still have our spats, right? We step on each other's toes. We
so you're human?
Yeah, we're human.
Oh, wow.
Right.
You have to listen, not listen to reply sometimes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I know
no
that
blue
some,
lizard blood.
yeah, some people in this audience probably might be struggling with just that, but you know that we're doing it for the kids, and we want to break the cycle. You know, I watched my mom get divorced twice, remarried for a third time, and you know, I think that as a child, understanding what it was like to come from a broken home with the chaos and the monotony and the manipulation that came with, and you know, I see that with my kids nowadays, and I can't. I have to break that chain, that cycle, and say, you know what? I'm going to show my kids that it's determination to stay with and do what's right. Because at the end of the day, we made a vow before God, not the government, God.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That was a
Absolutely.
promise.
Beautifully said.
I mean, Santino and I have been together for almost 26 years. And no, you didn't.
Whatever. I live there.
But almost 26 years. In February, to be 26 years. And you know what? You're right. We made a vow in front of God, not the state of California where we were married. It was in front of God. And no matter what we've gone through, as long as you talk and have open, honest communication, you can work through anything. I'm a firm believer in that.
I believe that too.
So
it requires effort, and I think that that's something that the older generations understood much better than we have, because things
I'm telling on you, Mike. Mike says, me and my wife never fight. She does everything I tell her. Don't tell her I said that. Yeah, he's
I think
full
you're
of it.
lying. Liar, pants on fire.
I believe you, Mike.
A bit off topic. I know that there's so many people that have been fighting the good fight on social media. Is anybody else tired? I haven't screamed in a while. I used to. Why are you screaming in your videos? Because I don't feel like I'm being heard. And that was what I was going through, but I'm tired today. I feel drawn out. You look tired, Santino. You've been fighting.
I've been getting run ragged lately. It's this has been a challenge because there's been so much going on, and then Kay trying to get her.
He went through plumbing class. Now he's in HVAC class. My C2 through my C7 are all compressing.
Terribly.
So I'm going to see an orthopedic surgeon. That scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, there hasn't been a solid night's sleep in forever.
There just hasn't been a break lately.
Yeah. It's been a lot.
You think, like, I watched, I should have sent this video to you, but there was a video that RFK Jr. did standing in front of the Department of Agriculture talking about the small farms. And I said it in the comments because this resonates well with me. What happened? You saw that video? Excellent video. And this is why I've been paying attention to RFK Jr. even back when he was running on a Democratic ticket. As with an open mind, he was ringing bells, right? And it resonated with me. My God, this guy's red pilling the Democratic Party. Unfortunately, you know, the non-democracy party of the Democratic Party decided that RFK Jr. was no longer wanted as a voice in the Democratic Party, because that's what they do. Just the same thing with his uncle. They didn't like him either, right?
Yeah.
So we're
Or his
seeing
daddy.
that. Yeah, all of them. And we could sit there and say that the Kennedys have bad luck. No, they don't. Some really nasty people have been killing them. That's what they've been doing. Some really nasty people, and we've been turning a blind eye here in America and voting them all in. Right. So, and much of them aren't even elected. They're bureaucrats that sit in our 3- and 4-letter agencies, unelected officials. But to hear him talk about, you know, the Department of Agriculture and what they did to our small farms, snuffing out the small competitors, us, the people, and building these mega farms where they controlled our food population. He even delved into a chemical that it's slipping my mind. Maybe you might remember the name of the chemical, but this is a byproduct. It's a waste product. It's actually toxic, so toxic that they couldn't dispose of it. So what did they do? They turned around and put it in our food, and we are the disposal canisters, right? And
Yay,
this
my
is
liver
why.
gets to filter.
Right, yay. So it's to the point where we know that they are harming us, and Big Pharma picks up the tab on that. They got that here, and they make billions off of us being unhealthy. So I say that hope is on the horizon when we get the chemicals out of the food. I talked about it at my work, and a conservative says, well, people are stupid for eating that crap anyway. Bro, you go to the gym every day. I get it. You're healthy. You eat your vegetables. It's in your vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did he realize that he's still getting the garbage?
All of it.
All of it.
Unless you're growing it yourself, then you really don't know what's in your food.
And even then, it's in our soil, because look what they're spraying in the sky. Like, come on now. So they've got us at every angle, right?
Sadly, but thank God, I believe that we're heading out of that nightmare, the scenario that we've been in.
Help us big time.
When Big Pharma is decimated, when they're no longer a breathing entity within our government, we're going to see a whole onslaught of cures, real cures, not these phony band-aids that they put on all these symptoms, but real cures to the root cause. They already know. Why do you think when I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease at 23 years old, my very first gastrointestinologist said to me, quote, "Smoking seems to help Crohn's patients." And I went for over a decade smoking. And come to find out, the day I quit, Crohn's went away. It was smoking that was doing it to me. He knew it. Listen, these people are evil, right? They're in it for the money, and they don't care how bad your quality of life is, right? It's money to them. It's greed, and it's power, and it's control. And they're going to do whatever they have that it takes to take your money, right? When we could be using our money on our families.
What a novel idea.
Yeah, man.
Right. I mean, literally going to the grocery store
is taking my life in my hands.
Well, not only that, but it takes so long. You have to read everything.
You got to get the Yucca app and scan things. It makes it so easy. I will share it in the chat.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's the one where you scan the barcode.
It's got a carrot on it. You scan the barcode. It'll tell you if it's good or not.
Okay.
And you can use it on beauty products too. I used it in my salon on all the beauty products, and I was just disgusted with some of the stuff I like to use. So now we got some new stuff that's organic, and it gave me the green light, and I really, that's it.
Thank you, Bill.
That's the one?
That's the one.
Okay.
So you can use it on beauty products too to make sure you're getting something good.
No brand or manufacturer can influence the scores or recommendations offered. Really?
Yeah, big creators were promoting this app quite some time ago, and I've seen an onslaught of people that started home gardening, and I don't know how they intend on cleaning up the soil, though, because the shit they've been spraying in our skies is made its way into our soils and our ground table water. If you've got a well, even, that's where you're getting your water from. I'm not sure if it filters, because in essence, that's what our ground table water has been filtered through rock and sediment, and and it actually aquafies that water and makes it into pure drinking water. That's what spring water would be about, being the cleanest, purest water that you could get. If it's coming from the ground, it's clean and it's drinkable.
But some people's springs are drying up now.
Are they?
Yeah, that's become a
Yeah,
problem.
still have some water issues, but I'm not sure how that plays out. But I have a feeling that there's like everything else in life, there's an ebb and flow to all of it. So hoping that springs come back. It's just that's an interesting little factoid there in terms of the water going away. And I agree with you. How far are these chemicals? How long does it take these chemicals to work their way into the water table? That's like a real big concern. And yeah, I understand that one. Chop says, on the plus side of Trump's impending return to office, silver prices are falling. If you're into that kind of thing,
it's going to go back up, by the way. And it was a couple years back, maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I purchased a bunch of silver, 0.999 pure. And I anticipate that it's going to get higher than gold prices per troy ounce. And
really?
Yep. So I think what's been happening, if you remember the short sell debacle way back, where the elites were crying on the mainstream media, please don't do this to us, and we got them on all the short sells. GameStop would be a primordial example. But also, along with, they've been short selling silver. If you remember when you were a kid, I know you're ancient like I am, silver was actually worth something. Remember? You bought your wife a silver necklace, and if you wanted, you could go get spot price for that silver in weight. But today it's worth absolutely nothing. And that's because the short sellers are squeezing the market on silver, driving the price down. But I'd anticipate that, if and this is part of a movement about 3 years back when they were doing the short sales. Large creators were promoting the idea that if every American purchased 10 troy ounces of silver, that it would decimate the short sellers, and they would be forced to relinquish their stronghold on the price of silver. And this would in return explode the price of that silver way over market price, upwards to $2,000 a troy ounce. And this could happen with everybody's cooperation. If 320 million people all purchase 10 ounces of silver, it would create a demand for the government to replenish its stockpile, right? And thus driving the price sky high. And now you just made quite a buck, and you decimated the short sellers, right? Same scenario with GameStop. That's how we did it. We decimated the short seller, and people like you and me were able to make a nice buck off of what they were doing.
That was one of the more fun things to watch through all of this up to this point was the people who have been manipulating the stock market get a little bit of it back to them, and the meltdown that occurred with all of them getting so mad that y'all are manipulating the stock market. And it's like, it's no different than what the hell you've been doing. And they got called out on it. And so they just kind of had to slink back in the dark corners where they were before.
Drive careful, Chelsea.
Drive careful, Chelsea. Be safe.
And
thanks for stopping by.
No, she's still going to be listening.
Oh, still listening. Oh, okay.
Don't be commenting while you're driving.
Yeah, keep your eyes on the road.
Yep.
All right. Bill says, my crypto has went up steady until today since the election, especially Dogecoin. It is Doge, right? Dogecoin?
I think so.
Or Dogie?
I don't know.
I think it's Doge.
So we have another video about Barry and Joe Rogan.
This guy.
You want to read that, please?
Joe Rogan reveals what changed his mind about his favorite president.
Ready?
Obama was my favorite president. is the best spokesman other than Clinton of all time. Now I think he's a liar.
Yeah.
I look at that thing of him saying, he said there's very fine people on both sides.
Who said that there were very fine people on both sides of a white supremacist rally?
That's not what he said. It was so clear. Like, you missed the game. The game is way past where you were. And you guys are still doing goofy shit, like taking people out of context and not knowing that people are going to make YouTube clips showing what he actually said versus you. And it's going to undermine your credibility even more.
Revival. People are waking up. Thoughts, Christian?
Many contracts within Hollywood and our entertainment industry will be violated, and that's already been prophesied. So, Joe Rogan would just be another prime example. And, the flip, we all watched it. We saw it. We loved it, right? Because he's a heavy hitter. He's hitting a younger generation as an audience, and much like Andrew Tate that's what the deep state feared, was people like them that were going to touch a broader audience and flip them. So Tulsi Gabbard, another one. She was a Democrat, right? Flipped. And so these are people bringing large swaths from the Democratic Party, because that party is tainted. It's been infiltrated for a very long time, and drag them over to our side of the aisle. And, this is a coordinated effort, very well thought out plan, where sleeper cells sat aiding and abetting the enemy for so long, started drifting and bringing their audience with. RFK Jr. did it too. We watched him go from the Democratic ticket, brought his audience to in the middle, or independent, and then boom, he's handing them all to President Trump. And this is something so beautiful for me to watch, because I understand the greater scope behind what's happening here. But nothing can stop this at all. And it's only going to get greater.
This is yet to come.
Yeah, for sure.
It really
that
is.
one in a while.
Yeah, right.
know.
The best is yet to come, though. More and more people are like these big names. There's been some big names, not just Joe Rogan. The guy that used to, he was married to Katy Perry, wasn't he?
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand. Yeah, Russell Brand. That's another huge name and brings a very different perspective. Now, granted, he's certainly come to Christianity as of recently, but while he's done that, everybody that was paying attention to him before his conversion has decided that, that obviously he still has enough value in his show to provide a large audience that comes along with him. Who else was it? Sean Ryan. Sean Ryan's recent baptism and everything, and he hasn't been quiet about that.
No.
And that has been something that he has, put out there, and that has helped awaken so many people.
Yes.
And I don't know how much crossover there is between each one of these different podcasters or whatever, but I have a feeling not all of them, they all bring so many that aren't of the same group. So it's a very diverse group of people who are hearing about this return to God. And
Even
people
Tucker
are
now.
Yes.
There's so many of them, and I forgot about Tucker, and he brings his own brand that none of the other three people I think would really have much crossover, because
I think he's the final blow to the mainstream media. As epic it is to watch that. Wow, he's crushing them in the millions and millions. Look at the views he gets. I was seeing the other day or this morning, what is it called? Blue Skies, a new social media app. It's kind of like a retreat for the Democrats to flee to, and they can't stomach being on Elon Musk's platform anymore. You know what? If Trump becomes president, I'm going to move out of the country. Shut up. you'll be back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of a just reward for them, because when conservatives were saying you're silencing us, we don't appreciate the fact that you're, silencing us from this platform, and they were like, well, go make your own.
Yeah.
And so now they have to go. Now, well, Trump did, and it worked out fairly well. I mean, it didn't, supplant Twitter by any stretch of the imagination.
I don't think
It
a
was
lot of
certainly a
people used it.
stopgap.
Had it had an algorithm, it was a great thought, and in the beginning I signed up, but I found myself using it as a perfect way to mirror and parrot what Donald Trump was saying on my own platform, where I stayed on TikTok and I just regurgitated what he was saying, because not everybody's on Truth Social. So it went over very well as a direct channel to the American people, because when you rip a man's tongue out, obviously we thought they feared something that he might say. That's why they did it. Right. So he found a way, you know what, ingeniously, he used his big money and his big donors to put forth his own platform. And there he is. Now he's back on X, or formerly Twitter.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I always have to include Twitter, as if people don't know what X is here in 2024.
It still feels awkward.
It does. And I find other people doing it too. They got to put the parentheses around Twitter, AKA.
Right.
But, Jack Dorsey is a thing in the past. And,
Who?
Jack Dorsey. Yeah, right. Who?
Yeah. Who? What? I don't remember that name.
And I agree with Mike. I still don't see people jumping the fence to get out of this country
yet. Oh, there will be videos. I would be willing to put money on it at this point in time. There will be videos of people jumping the fence to get up out of here once Trump gets back into office, or as we get closer, because I'm sure that the rhetoric is going to get elevated some in terms of how serious President Trump is, along with his border czar, et cetera, about how we're planning on cleaning this country up of all of the illegals.
I always say that, imagine, people in Venezuela making makeshift rafts out of sticks and floating across shark-infested waters to get to America, but you never see Americans doing the same to get into Venezuela. What is wrong with this? Like, if you don't love your country, be gone. Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Change my country.
And that's the thing I never understood is that they wanted everybody to do things their way, and that there was no leeway for anybody to do anything different than what they wanted. Bill says, I heard Oprah fled the country today. Could be, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I
but
don't care.
She can only go so far because, well,
They'll find her. They got everything.
Yeah, they'll find her.
Exactly. So,
just
you
like
ready?
we know Barry's gonna go to Kenya.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I think we'll be getting really close to the curtain call once he goes to Kenya.
Exactly. You ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
As soon as it comes up. But it's not doing anything. There it is. Sylvester Stallone introduces President Trump at Mar-a-Lago. The second George Washington.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
When I did Rocky, if you remember, the first image was a picture of Jesus. And it says Resurrection AC Club. I found a church that had been converted to a boxing ring. So the image pans down from Jesus onto Rocky being hit. And at that moment, he was a chosen person. And that's how I began the journey. Something was going to happen. This man was going to go through a metamorphosis and change lives, just like President Trump. We are in the presence of a really mythical character. I love mythology. And this individual does not exist on this planet. Nobody in the world could have pulled off what he pulled off. So I'm in awe. And I'll just say this, and I mean it. When George Washington defended his country, he had no idea that he was going to change the world. Because without him, you can imagine what the world would look like. Guess what? We got the second George Washington. Congratulations. But
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died. And I'm proud to be an American.
please welcome the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Thank you.
The men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
So, thoughts on that?
When all's said and done, he will know who his friends are. And this shows a timeline when Hollywood and our music industry was infiltrated with the deep state. And you know, there was a wholesome era that I remember in my lifetime where the indoctrinations and the psyops weren't being running amok on the American people. And it's surprising to see that in my lifetime, my childhood idols are standing up, supporting America first, right? Hulk Hogan, Sylvester Stallone, and the list is so massive.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, you can suck it.
Yeah. So it's you know, like it was said prior that, you know, many celebrities will break their contracts, but along with those contracts, they broke their binding, right, to the deep state. The what tied them to not speaking out because their riches would be torn down. But these people have nothing to lose. In the grand scheme of things, our forefathers, they were stripped of their livelihoods too for signing that document, right? And you know, who's the guy with Australia One? Bosey.
Australia One, Bosey.
Yeah, he's the general in Australia that's been speaking out against the deep state for about 4 years now. But he's formed a coalition that's going up against the deep state in Australia. And his quote that resonates with me is, "The first one through the door gets the bloody nose," right? But there has to be that first one, that leader to bring it, to usher it in, right? And you know, when we're looking at what's happening today, that first one's already been through the door. He's gotten the bloody nose. Shit, Donald Trump got a bloody ear out of it. But we're here. We're at a precipice, a tipping point where things are going to start relaxing back to the old norm, you know, the old ways. The irony in you becoming an HVAC technician is that, you know, you notice President Trump in his first term, he spoke a lot to like GE, and, you know, he talked about air conditioner installers back in the 50s, how an air conditioner installer could make enough money to provide for their family. And they didn't have the fancy 401ks. They didn't have, you know, to put the government to put money aside for them. They did it on their own because they had that extra money to set aside, and they retired on their own accord, right? When you're ready, like if you had enough money at 45, well, do you? Yeah. But an HVAC installer could provide for their household. The wife could stay home with the kids and enjoy the love of being a mother, right? and we can get back to the normalcy, the way God intended humanity to be. But unfortunately, we've been robbed of that. And, you know, they came out with these psyops called equality. Shit, if I was a woman and you said I could sit home and create my own schedule, feed me, Seymour, because at work I'm pressured with their schedule, like for 12 and a half hours, and it's go, go, go. I'm tired, right? I'm tired. I'm overworked. And, you know, I just did this fight of my life for over 4 years, you know, speaking loud in tandem with working, right? So I'm drawn out. I'm tired, but we're here. We're here today. And job well done to everybody that partook, even the moderators that helped make things go possible, right? And I know on TikTok, when I did my lives, I had 9 moderators. They did it for free, right? And it was hard work because there was a lot of trolls. When you get upwards into like 1,000 people in your live, it's a lot of work. But people did this for free because they knew the cause and they knew what would happen if we failed, right? So this is where America pulled, you know, themselves up by the bootstraps and they fought.
It
Wow.
did fight. It was a
they
fight.
did. Yeah, for sure.
It was a
All the way
street
down
brawl.
to the city hall the city hall meetings, the school board meetings, right? Everything, all of it in tandem. The truckers doing their strikes, and right, we make this world go round, and you will hear us, right?
It's, you know, as you go through all these things, it reminds me of this journey that it has been. It has been quite a journey. There has been large sectors of society who have banded together. You know, either they were, you know, connected via a profession, like you were talking about the truck drivers, or it was just people, just all they care about is this nation and our future. And it's not even really our future. I was kind of talking about it yesterday. All of those Gothic cathedrals, those took hundreds of years. The person that laid the cornerstone for that had no idea what the final, you know, cathedral was going to look like. And that's what this nation is it's something that's going to take longer than any one generation's ability to complete it, because I don't know if it can ever be completed. It can only be worked with in perpetuity. And to work with, you know, the Constitution that's put into place, we have to be able to work together. And we lost our way, but we are getting back on that path. And it is, you know, it is a divine, you know, guidance back to him, I would say, most certainly. But I'd say that it's part of the greater plan, because he loves all of his children, and all of his children are all of us all around the world. And the reason why America is so important for that enlightenment is because we do have people here in this nation all around the world. And if we can figure out how to get along with each other, then that means that if there is a war between the Russians and the Ukrainians, the fact that we have Russians and Ukrainians here in this nation that aren't hating each other means that the love can be found somewhere, and that we don't have to have these unnecessary and never-ending freaking wars. But we got used to being the bully. We got used to all of the money. We got used to having all of the things. And so we forgot what it was all about. So we had to go through this, you know, kick in the shorts that we've been going through just to wake us back up again. And so as miserable as it has been, and exhausting, like you're saying, it is tiring because it takes so much. And just like you were saying, the moderators, you know, it is generally considered a thankless job. You know, hey, thanks for making sure that the trolls aren't there. It sounds simple, but it's really not simple, because it requires that constant attention and everything. And that constant attention, it goes through to everybody. Go ahead.
But I will say this though. Yes, it's been exhausting, but I wouldn't
Not worth
change
it.
a thing,
No.
because I have met some of the most amazing people like Christian and Jenny. And, you know, I have this amazing new family all across America that I know without a shadow of a doubt that they have my back just as much as I have their back. And so it's been worth it for me. Am I exhausted? Yeah, I'm exhausted. But at the same time, look at what we've done together as this wonderful tribe that we've made.
And I think that another key aspect to all of it is the fact that there's other Americans just like you and I. We're all the same, and we love this nation. We love this nation because we know it's something that is truly special and unique throughout all of history. It's something so much more than whatever has been. And this American experiment is something worth fighting for. And the fact that there's so many other people and all of the channels across. I mean, you know, you got your Joe and you got your And We Know and X22 and all of these, you know, creators out there. And it's nice to hear that all of these people care about something greater than themselves. And I think that that's the part that's really amazing.
Speaking of people meeting great people all across the United States, Jenny and I are throwing one of the largest parties January 20th in Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania Avenue. And you two are invited too. I wish you could find the time to show, but we've got a small and growing group of people that want to attend.
We're actually thinking about that.
We would love to have you.
We're bringing our kids. We're taking them out of school for this.
So we rented, oh my God, the lodging in Washington, D.C. is astronomical, by the way.
I could imagine.
Like $3,000 a night all the way to $20,000. But I found a Airbnb condo fairly reasonable. I mean, a little bit more than what I wanted to spend. I'd probably spend that for a week stay on vacation, but it was a 2-night stay because me and the kids are going to beat feet around Washington, D.C. and we're going to sightsee. We're going to give our kids a little education after the inauguration.
I didn't get to J6.
But our kids are going to be able to witness history in the making, and they'll be able to tell their children that you know, they got to witness a historic event such as this, and we will be there, and we're hoping others will be.
So if anybody wants to meet us there, message us.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, we got to talk about that because when does electrical start? Because HVAC ends, and then like a week after, it's straight to electrical.
No, it's not.
All right.
I promise.
I mean, it depends on where it falls too. Yeah.
Here's Preston.
Okay.
And he is talking about things that are happening in D.C. You ready?
All right. Yeah.
It is Thursday, October 14th. Let's talk about how the Democrats are continuing to collapse upon themselves here on Capitol Hill. But first, allow me to congratulate my mentors and my friends who have officially won the House of Representatives. Congratulations. Republicans, do not disappoint the American people. The Democratic Party, who claims to be for the American people, is absolutely continuing to drain or attempt to drain their pockets every single day. We know that Kamala Harris is negative $20 million. But what's absolutely terrifying and quite frankly heartbreaking is that she is still tapping on Americans to donate in her last communication $50 to her failed campaign, all because President Trump appointed Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General. She's literally grasping for every straw she can possibly get to get money to pay back those Diddy list celebrities that she had at her campaign events. And as if Kamala Harris and her panhandling to the American people isn't bad enough, Senator Bob Casey in Pennsylvania is costing the Pennsylvania taxpayers $1 million simply because he's refusing to concede the race to McCormick, who fair and square won that Senate race with 30,000 votes. To those Americans in Pennsylvania, I'm sorry. I truly am sorry that the Democratic Party once again is coming for your pockets. And Bob Casey is only doing this for his own ego when he knows that a recount will likely result in just a few hundred vote difference. Still, leading McCormick right back here to the Senate, where he will be the next U.S. Senator for the state of Pennsylvania. And to just round out the Democrats' continued collapse upon themselves, the Democratic caucus finally came forward and told Senate Republicans that they, quote, will not work with them, and they are, quote, on their own. Therefore, telling the American people, we will not work for you and you are on your own. Because don't forget, it was the American people who hired the Republicans to represent them in the Senate. So my question to you as an American would be, what should happen to an individual who's hired to do a job, such as those Senate Democrats, and they refuse to do that job? What would happen to any of us if we were hired to do a job and we refused to do it? So to every American out there, please remember this. Midterms will begin in about 18 months. These same Democrats will be coming in asking for you to vote for them once again. But remember, it is them today, November 14th, who promise they will not work for you, they will not advocate for you, they will not reach across the party aisle, and they will instead sulk in their own loss and refuse to take any steps to work with Republicans. But what they will do is continue to ask you for money, and they will continue to take money out of your own pocket through taxpayer dollars. While we have secured the trifecta of the Senate, the House, and the presidency, we must remember that in just 18 short months, we have to do that once again for both chambers of Congress. And we will absolutely, for the first time in decades, secure both the House and the Senate once again, because the American people truly see through the lies of the Democratic Party. Much love, God bless, so much more information to come, as it's been a really long, exciting week.
And he is pushing people signing up to go to the inauguration. So, thoughts, Christian?
So, yeah, I saw that video about how to get tickets. Unfortunately, here in my state, my representative of my district has changed hands, so I don't even know how to obtain tickets, but we just planned on being there as part of the crowd, the overflow down Pennsylvania Avenue, and I'm good with that. But the $20 million for Kamala Harris that she owes.
Yeah.
Did I not hear word that Trump offered to pay for her $20 million debt?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
He did.
So if you think about logically, in a boxing match, a guy gets beaten so badly to the mat and knocked down, and his opponent, the sportsman-like conduct, extends his hand and picks his opponent off the mat and hugs him, right? This is President Trump. This is the people that walk more like Jesus did, right? And in the righteous path. We will have a president that will start out with hot blood, and then he will become a praying president, right? And even after there was an explosive fight over power here, right? And I don't think the American people understand the grand gist of things. If Hillary had won in 2016, it would have been game over, and the 2030 agenda would have been full steam ahead. But
we would have already been in the gulag.
Oh my God, Trump saved. And you know, they were talking in 2020 about re-education camps, and this was all conditioning for what lied ahead, right? This was what we should fear the most. And somebody was saying the other day that their sister was a Trump supporter in 2016, and in the 2016 election, their husband voted for Hillary Clinton, and she made her husband sleep on the couch for a whole week because he voted for Hillary Clinton. And I chimed into the conversation, and I says, you know what I would have done if I was her? I would have deleted every one of his social media accounts and say, there, how's that feel? I would have threatened him with re-education camps. You see, right? Some people don't smell their own shit that they lay in, right? And maybe it's high tide with the pushback where people are let known, hey, bro, you stink, right? And this is what you're laying in. So stop with the facade already, calling me a fascist while you shout me down from speaking, right? The unrealness that's been happening nowadays. But me, I don't hold back. I don't care where I am. I don't hold back anymore. Right? It's time. And this isn't incitement. This is defending yourself, and we're allowed to defend ourselves. Right? This has been happening since the beginning of time. Cavemen defended their children and their wives and their cave. Right? They defended, and they did this because you have a right to defend yourself. Just like today in modern society, they want us to think that we're not allowed to defend ourselves, that we're helpless, and we need to look to big daddy government for every aid and woe that you may need to go through. Right? It's ridiculousness. We've got free thought, and we're free people, and it's high time that we start acting like we're free people. Right? We fight back. You push back.
I mean, I'll be happy with the start of just people thinking, but yeah, free thinking would be even better.
Yeah, please. We got this big, beautiful brain that God gave us. Let's start using it. Right?
Novel
Crazy
idea.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I just wanted to say that the recount shenanigans. They're talking about that, and you and I had a discussion about it.
Because I looked it up, and she is 100% using it to pay off her debt.
Oh yeah, and I don't think that the recounts are going to go anywhere. I think it's
the article said it's never going to happen.
I say do it.
Let him recount.
I say do it.
Recount. Let him recount.
Let him do it.
Really turns out.
And while they're at it, let's recount 2022, please.
Exactly. And that's how I feel about all that. It's like, yeah, let's go ahead and do a recount. I got no problem with that whatsoever. That'd be a good time.
Yeah.
I know, because it's just going to show that he won even more.
Yeah, because they're already starting to ask about, well, how come the down ballot votes are, all against Trump, but all of the votes were for Trump? They were stealing it. Yeah.
Carrie Lake would be a prime example of down ballot, right? Trump won Arizona by almost 200,000 votes, and yet a female version of Donald Trump named Carrie Lake that toured with him in his rallies, right? There is no way. Come on. Listen, this is Katie Hobbs.
Doesn't make sense.
2.0.
Yeah, it's So yeah, I'm all about let's do recounts. That should be a great time.
Exactly.
Well, all right.
All right.
So one of my clients works for the Board of Elections here in our county, and I ask her
Awesome.
questions so I can understand how things are going to work. They have up to 15 days after the date of the 5th. Was it the 5th? It was the 5th, right? To count the military ballots, the absentee ballots of military overseas. I know that because I was asking, how many days do you have after the election to count ballots for mail-in ballots and whatnot? And she said that's for the military only.
Well, they know how many ballots they have. That's why they call it early. But New York, there was some weird.
That's what I'm saying. They called it
funny shit.
Right after polls closed. They called it. You can't tell me you already knew the damn answer.
Yeah.
Come on.
I can tell you that they knew the answer before they went ahead and submitted the numbers.
We're red. We are so red here.
I believe that. I believe that New York has
There's
been
a few
red for a
liberals
while.
that I know, and I just don't talk about that stuff with them.
Right.
And I'm okay with it.
And they're further and fewer in between they ever have been in my entire life. So
yeah.
Ann says, got to charge my phone. I'll watch you on the big screen. Have a great weekend, all you beautiful people. Well, you have a great weekend as well.
Stay blessed.
I believe Lake was bait. Oh, I believe Carrie Lake was bait. I don't think that one is over. Yeah, I think there's a lot that's not over.
Oh, she's a fighter.
Oh,
she
yeah.
fights so hard.
Oh, yeah. I think that they got to clear out some of the corrupt individuals first. When we start to see some of the people that we've seen U.S. Marshals tagging around for the past 4 years kind of suspiciously, I figure once those people have been rounded up and whatnot, I think that a lot of this information... Yeah. Nancy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, her husband keeps getting his back door hammered in, so...
All right, moving on. Ready?
Yeah.
Life's not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Life will never hand you perfect conditions. Storms will come, and the winds will try to break you. But it's not about escaping the storms. It's about standing tall, embracing the chaos, and finding your rhythm in it. The Stoics knew one truth. You can't control the world around you, but you can always control yourself. The storm is not your enemy. It's your teacher. Every raindrop can either break you down or remind you of your strength. So why wait for things to be perfect? Learn to dance in the rain. Thrive in the uncertainty. In doing so, you don't just survive, you conquer. Remember, the storm is inevitable, but your response is what makes you invincible.
All right, Christian. So this is our motto. We're going to start with you, sir.
Did anybody feel an overwhelming burst of energy the morning of the 6th
Yes.
this month? That glow, like you carried yourself a little bit taller that day. And people at work even said to me, like, you look so happy. And I'm like, really? I'm trying to keep all my emotions down. Like, I don't want, I told you so, right? I didn't want to be that guy. It's surreal. And I had this overwhelming feeling come over me. My soul, not my body. My soul felt it. That, wow, it's been such a long ride. It's been such a long road. And look at me, like I'm not even posting videos right now on TikTok. I'm on a bit of a hiatus where, I'm working on self-healing, right? More so. And I think, oftentimes we need that to reflect. I don't want to be that I told you so guy. A lot of things that I've been speaking about for 4 years are all coming to light today. So I don't want to be that teabagger, in your face. What's up now? I was right. You were wrong. You're stupid, blah, blah, blah. Because ultimately, what we were saying long ago is that we're here to aid the others as they fall, as they crumble. And, there's going to be so many people that aren't going to have the answers, but they're going to want to know. So we're going to need to humble ourselves. And we were placed here in such a time. This is very important.
Yes.
You were chosen to be here in such a time that you had 4 years in advance to understand what's coming ahead. That way you can help pick people up because it's all going to come crashing down in one day. And we had 4 years to study and learn. So we kind of nitpicked and dived down rabbit holes here and there. But in the grand scheme of things, we know the majority of what's coming, down the road. They don't. So it's going to hit them like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
So you are here to help pick them up, not teabag them, not leave them lying in the gutter, because these are all God's children. They just been led astray, right? That's all.
Pray for them.
We were there once too.
Yes.
Very much so.
And we're 4 years ahead of them, guys. So as much I'm with Christian right now, I just want to scream, I told you so. But that's not the right thing to do. And so as people are still waking up and it's still happening, there's so many people that are like, what? Wait, this is different. Now all of a sudden they are saying that he had nothing to do with Project 2025. Well, why did they say he did for, almost a year? Why now is Jack Smith stepping down and dropping all charges? Why now? Why now? Why now? But we have 4 years ahead of them. So just remember to be a good person like we are and just help the people that you can.
Oh, by the way, Trump is suing the mainstream media for billions, a lot, like 10 billion. This may be the final nail in the coffin, and you know he's going to win.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He's going to take down the media industrial complex, I guess.
Yeah,
they're going down. I'm yelling timber.
Yeah, exactly.
So you bring up a great point, Christian, and that is that there were 73 million, allegedly 73,648,728 votes for Kamala Harris. That is a lot of people. 73, almost 74 million people that still have yet to wake up. Well, I'm pretty sure that some of those numbers are BS. Whatever,
Yeah.
I can accept that, right?
Like Joe Biden got 81 million votes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and, for argument's sake, let's just go with there's still 73.5 million votes out there.
Mhm.
People who voted for Kamala. Those people still have a long way to go, and they're going to be upset. And like you said, as they start to wake up, and as these people have been waking up, I don't think too many people have heard "I told you so." Now is certainly not the time. As much as we'd like to spike the football in front of their faces and maybe in their face, not, it's not the right thing to do, because we are trying to heal. We do want this country to heal, and by taking a victory lap is not the way that we're going to heal. And so as it was saying in the video, the obstacle is the way, and the obstacle is not necessarily a bad thing. It's a big obstacle, 73 million obstacles, as a matter of fact. But those obstacles are exactly the direction we need to be continuing to go. We need to make sure that these people open up their minds to the very simple concept that everything that they think might not be true, that they might be wrong about something. And that's kind of an obstacle for all of us. But I know that we're going to be getting there. And I know that things are going to get a little ridiculous, but at the same time, I have a feeling that everything's going to be okay. And that comes down to the faith. And when we go after the obstacles in our lives, not just the 73 million people that still need to wake up, even the small stuff that's going on in your own personal life that other people may not have a clue about, that obstacle that's in your way is the exact direction that you should be going. Never let the obstacle prevent you from attaining what it is you are destined to do, because that means that you are denying your destiny. It also means that you don't have the faith that you can make it over, under, through, around, or whatever the case may be through that obstacle. So don't let what lies in front of us prevent you from achieving what can be.
Exactly.
And you know what? You know what I feel great about? Like, I'll tell you a little story real quick.
Yeah.
There was this girl that I met about 2 years ago. She organized for Black Lives Matter. And not too long ago, she goes, "You got to be kidding me that you're going to vote for somebody that just was arrested on 34 counts of felony indictments." And I laid into this girl for about 25 minutes. And I says, "Is this the same FBI that perpetuated the Russia hoax? The same FBI that, right? All these deep state actors." And I says, "And who bornes the cost of all this? The Black community, right? The people in the poorest parts of this country that will never have a chance to thrive. And if you claim to be a woman of God," and then I went on my rant. You know how I can rant.
Who, you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just imparting wisdom, but go ahead. We'll call it that.
So the mic drop is, guess who she voted for?
That's awesome.
And you know, when I learned this and she told me, I almost had a tear in my eye, and I'm like, I touched someone.
That's
What a
awesome.
beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. and she found it on her own, but with a little bit of help. And
Right.
I
that's
just
what we're
had
here
to
for.
put her in the right direction. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Santino's been
Beautifully done.
helping the kids at school.
Yeah, I give him the conspiracy theory of the day.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, every morning. Yeah, instead of saying here during roll call, I just took that as my opportunity to share a random conspiracy theory of the day.
There
It
you
seems to be
go.
working out. Yeah, they're
Free
waking up a
free
little bit more.
thought. Come on, man. They gotta. It's okay to be wrong. It's about being free thinking and thinking outside the box and not allowing the machine to think for you.
That is so true.
Classic ranters.
This is why we're besties. This is why we get along so well, because
Two,
we can
two of
just
the
ramble.
best ranters.
They're Italian
Exactly.
too.
Hey,
Exactly.
hey, what are you doing? Yeah.
Exactly. And you know what? I tell you what, every time you guys have conversations, I just love listening to them because there's so much knowledge that both of y'all bring, and it's just really amazing. God put you guys together for a reason.
She hates it sometimes. You can tell when she's annoyed because I'll get in my little rant mode and it'll be first thing in the morning. I've been kind of like penning all this up inside me all night at work because, you know, I work with a bunch of liberals. So I got to learn when to keep it down and when to talk and know when to chime in. And so I come home and I just unleash the fury on poor Jennifer. And she hasn't even had her first cup of coffee and like, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, but you know what? It's that very passion that drives us to do the things we do. And if you didn't want all the passion, then don't marry a damn Italian.
That's true. That is 1000% true.
Just throwing that one out there.
Yeah.
Well, he gets fed very well.
Well, I mean, quickest way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Okay.
I'm getting fat.
I didn't say that. I just said you.
I did.
All right, guys. You know what? It's always a pleasure to just see the both of you, but to actually hear the both of you is a great time. And the wisdom that you impart truly is amazing and inspiring. And thank you very much for showing up. We do appreciate the both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Always, Santino. And again, we'll do this again. So keep us in your thoughts about January 20th. And
we're going to.
Yeah, it would be great to meet up.
We're gonna,
I
we
know
gotta figure out a way.
Pink Patriot will be there. She's good friends of ours. We've met up a couple times. Great people. Her husband is going to be in President Trump's detail that day. He's coming in. Yeah, he's coming in from the great state of North Carolina, and he's going to set up roadblocks for his what do you call it? The motorcade.
Motorcade. Okay.
Wow.
Yep. Nice.
So he's a state trooper from the state of North Carolina. She's excited about him partaking in that. And when I mentioned that we were going to be there, now she wants to go. And,
of course she does.
And I believe that TikTok Terry is going to be there.
He hasn't made up his mind yet. He's got to figure things out.
Oh, okay. So he's still mulling on it. And I know a few other people are talking about wanting to be there as well.
I bet Buffy will be there.
Yeah, Buffy definitely said yes. And a few others. So we're getting there.
It would be fun just to hang out.
Fed Up Gear, he's mulling on the idea, and you know, they're gonna get back to me on, you know, if they're gonna be there.
I'm planning in my head. Pasta.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like pasta?
Yeah.
Who doesn't like pasta?
Right?
You know what? P. Diddy and all of his friends are the people who don't like pasta.
All the times Fed Up Gear and us, we got together. We always hit up Italian restaurants. It's our thing. Yeah, because they're both Italian too. So
that works out.
That works out. Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us, and we appreciate each and every one of y'all for joining us today. We'll see y'all again on Monday at same time, which is going to be 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. There we go. I didn't switch it this time. I got it right. Anyways, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on that channel, which is Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, or pill.net. Or wait, who did I forget? Rumble. Oh yeah, and them two.
And if you haven't already, please take a minute and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on YouTube or Rumble, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on pill.net, take that red pill. If you're on X, smash that heart. And if you happen to be on Facebook, you have like 7 choices. Just pick one.
There you go.
And don't forget, sharing is caring. And if you wouldn't mind, leave us a comment after the show. It really helps us with the algorithm.
Yes, it does. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We love you. Have a great weekend. Be safe, and God bless.